Okay, so let's look at tuples. Tuples in Python are a way of grouping two or more pieces of data together. Okay, so for example, you might have a pizza, you might have the margarita is the type of pizza, and £6 is the price. So that's from one of the examples we saw last week. Or if you were talking about the data for the uni app, you might have the name, Chris, the user ID, CHR01, and the job lecturer. Or talking about the home hub, the devices. Remember, we had a heating device which is not switched on, so it's false at the moment. The temperature initially is 18, and the last value there describes what value is being stored, so temperature. Okay, I say in Python because these are not actually available in most languages. It's a particular thing for Python, and it's a really useful idea that is very helpful when you're programming, that you can group bits of data together like this. You can do it in other languages, obviously, but they're not quite so immediately. So, which I just said, this can be very useful, not available in many programming languages. There are ways around it, but Python gives you this nice feature straight out of the box. Where do they get their name? They get their words from words like duple, where you have, this is a musical term actually, triple, quadruple, multiple. So anything where we have several things put together is some kind of, has this PLE ending, and that's been used to create this word tuple. You'll notice in the examples above, I put some brackets in. Those are actually optional, but they do help to make the code a bit clearer sometimes. So it's quite a good idea to put them in. Okay, and the first example we're going to look at, excuse me, is returning tuples from functions. So one really useful way of using tuples is to get multiple values returned from a function. Typically, the functions we looked at so far, it does some calculation and doesn't always return a value, but when it does, it will just return one value. But actually, we can use these tuples to get multiple values back. So, for example, the example last week where we were generating a random pizza, we need two bits of information. We need the description and the price. Those two things need to be returned. And that's easy to solve that just by getting the function to return a tuple. So you just take those two values, the description, the price, you put a comma between them, and that's you done. You're sending these two bits of information back. So here's the here's an example of the code. This is from Pizza02. It's an example in the downloads that go along with this lecture. And so we've got a function at the top here. The details are the same as Pizza01, but I haven't put them in, so it's exactly the same. Generate a random pizza. It generates a random pizza, and then the thing it computes is the description of the pizza, so the margarita with extra cheese, for example, and the price is then calculated at the same time, because you get the price of the pizza plus the price for any toppings. They're all calculated together, and then we can just return those two as a tuple, the description and the price. And then down back in the program that calls it, okay, here we've got there you can see the different types of pizza, the different prices that go along with them, the extra types, the extra prices, and we can just pass those two values back into the main program, and then we've got, in the main program, we've got the pizza description, the pizza price, and they both come back from that function. Really useful way of getting information around a program. Okay, another way of using tuples, which it kind of uses the same idea because it uses a function called enumerate. Tuples are used by this enumerate function, which loops through a list of values. Okay, now quite often we're doing that. For each pizza in the list of pizzas, for each user in the list of users, we need to loop through them. But sometimes it's really helpful to get the index of that value in the list. So if we're looping through the pizzas, just going back to that picture on the previous slide, the pizza margarita Napolitana marinara. First one is index 0, the next one is index 1, the next one is index 2. Okay, so it's quite useful sometimes to have that information at the same time as having the value. And what we would do normally, up to this point, we would loop through the range of that length of pizza type. So remember, the length of the pizza types that we just looked at would be 3. The range, therefore, would give us the values 0, 1, and 2. And we'd loop through I in that, that range. Okay, so the pizza type then can be we've got by using the index, which would be 0, 1, or 2, from the pizza types, and the pizza price similarly. Okay, we can do this without enumerate. Okay, but with enumerate, what we can do is we can loop through that list of pizza types, and then pizza type gives us the value in the list, and I gives us the index. So we're getting the 2 values from the two things back from this enumerate function. Every time we go around the loop, we get 2 things back. One is the position in the list, and the other is the item in the list. So we can get rid of a line of code there, because we know what the pizza type is in this loop here, and we just need to then get the price from the list of pizza prices. Okay, so enumerate, in this case, it generates 3 tuples. The first tuple is 0 and margarita, the second tuple is 1 and napolitana, and the third tuple is 2 and marinara. Okay, and then in example 3, I've used both examples just to show what a comparison of the 2 things. So the first one the first loop uses the range length and lists the pizza types. Okay, so this here is the old way of doing it. So we loop over I in the range of this length of pizza types, and then we get the values by using that I to get the item from the list. So I is 0, then we get the item at index 0 from the list. Or the second way, in this second loop down here at the bottom, prints the toppings, and that uses enumerate, and then it gets the type from the enumerate function, but the price it then gets from the list of prices using the index. Okay, and that then, when you run that, it prints it out. That's the information it would print out. Okay, so enumerate's a really useful thing, and it's a really useful way to eliminate some code and to get a pair of matching values, which is really common. You quite often want an item in the list, but also you want to know where in the list it is, and that's what enumerate will allow you to do. Okay, we're going to move on in the next video to look at multiple values in another example. So I'm going to stop here, and we'll do that in the next video.